Oh yeah, after so many years of not using her, I finally get to talk about
Nani?
and I'm glad I do because I know there are many players out there who shiver at the thought of just hearing her name, but is she actually as powerful as many players make her out to be? Well, in this video I'll be going over the loadout that I've been using as well as the modes that I think you should consider. So without going too much into detail, the most dangerous thing about Nani is her damage, which easily puts her above any other marksman brawler. Each projectile does a little over 1,000 damage, but trying to land all of them on a single target can be difficult if they're moving around. However, up close she just annihilates anyone, which unironically makes her more dangerous like this than from far away. On that note, I want to talk a little bit more about her super because despite its intention of being used to chase down a brawler, I think it's best used up close. For example, here we have an Edgar who decides it's a good idea to jump me. Now, technically, since I have a higher DPS, I could defeat him, but unfortunately my health isn't all there, so it's more likely that I'll die. Well, that's where her super comes in because apart from the massive damage, it also provides a knockback which makes it easier to deal damage from a safe distance. Of course, this isn't your typical showdown match, but trust me, this is a lifesaver and is a much more practical way for using her super. Now, I did mention Nani having low health, which is very typical of a marksman brawler. However, she does have two things that can help her out here. The first is this gadget called Return to Sender, which causes her to take only 20% of incoming damage while returning that 80% back to the enemy. So basically, if I were to take 1,000 damage, I'll really only be taking 200 damage while that 800 goes back to wherever it came from. And I think this is great because while you're not guaranteed to eliminate anyone this way, you're not able to miss with it and you get a good way of absorbing damage. On the other hand, her second gadget called Warp in Time does allow her to essentially teleport using her super, which is kind of cool, but honestly it's not all that good, and I'll actually talk more about this later in this video. Now, the second thing that can help her out here is her Tempered Steel star power, which gives her a shield that blocks 80% of damage when using her super. I won't lie, this is the only star power I got, but I think it's a good one, especially with how I showed her super can be used. With that said, her other star power called Autofocus does grant her super an extra 2,000 damage, which is huge, so I guess if you prefer damage over defense, you might want to consider getting this one. So now moving on to some modes, I first want to mention Knockout as it does seem to be the most popular mode for her. In this case, I probably should have picked a different map because despite what I said about Nani being devastating up close, if there's too much cover like in this case, she can easily die. But thankfully I had a really good team in this match, and at one point I did manage to eliminate one of them using my super, which was pretty cool to see. So if you do plan to use Nani here, I recommend choosing more open maps. Moving on, we've got Gem Grab, a mode that I honestly don't know how I should feel about because on one hand in this match we did really poorly in the beginning with the other team just tearing our ass like nothing. I couldn't aim for Jack and it was embarrassing with how many times I died here, but we did manage to pull through in the end with Mortis taking the win. In my next few matches I decided to try out her Warp in Time gadget, and well, sometimes I would forget to use it while other times I just end up dying. Again, it's a cool gadget to use, but it does have its limitations, and for that I think one of the best modes to use it on is Heist. As you can imagine, if you can get your super early on, you'll be able to travel to the other side of the map. Well, sometimes. It is fun to do, and once again Nani does huge amounts of damage to the vault, so she might be worth using here. The second best mode would have to be Bounty for roughly the same reasons as Knockout, and honestly I think Nani's a better choice here than there. You'll have a better chance of getting your super multiple times, and it is a lot of fun to catch someone by surprise like this. So in my opinion, I think Nani can be a very good brawler without being too OP, but let me know what you guys think about her in the comments. Anyways, have a good day.